Red Hill Farms, the home of practical genetics, will host our More Than a Bull sale on Saturday, March 20th, featuring 70 Red Angus, Sim Angus, and Charolais bulls. We provide our customers a full-service genetic program, more than just a bull. Follow us on Facebook, visit our website, or contact us to learn how we can help you improve your profitability in the beef business.
What an accomplishment that we're all here today. We've learned about technology. We've faced many challenges over the last 18 months, but here we are doing the business of KCA. Dave and crew, kudos to you for the job you've done of being flexible. We're so proud to be a part of this continuing effort to represent the cattlemen and cattlewomen of the state of Kentucky and to continue running the best producer organization that there is in the United States. Bluegrass is excited to be a part. We're excited about the future. We've initiated new tagging programs to help us do a better job of telling your story when your calves hit the market. Ask our reps about those. We'd love to visit with you. We look forward and we're confident that we're headed into better times in the cattle industry. And we look forward to being your partner moving forward to take advantage of that time when the leverage shifts back to the cow-calf and backgrounder and away from the packers. With that said, welcome everyone. Thank you for letting us continue to be a part of supporting this convention, these meetings. We look forward to partnering with you in the future. Thank you.
Good afternoon, fellow cattlemen. Thanks for joining us here today. We've done some new things at KCA that we've never had to do before. The teleconference calls and the Zoom calls. That was all new to me, and I'm sure it was to a lot of you. I want to thank everyone for being members. It's so important to be a member of your association. No matter what business you're in, join. It has so many things to offer. It has really enlightened my life, I'll put it that way. And especially thank the board members. I want to thank the staff at KCA. Without them, none of this would have been possible in a year like 2020. But those guys and girls up there, boy, they sure handled things real well. Dave Maples, of course, at the helm. It's always been a good institution. I look forward to 2021 being a better year for everyone.
Welcome to the 48th Annual Kentucky Cattlemen's Association Business Meeting and Awards Session. I would like to call on our Kentucky Cattlemen's President-elect Chris Cooper from Madison County to give our invocation. Chris?
Thank you, Steve. And if you would, bow with me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful, Lord, to be able to come together today as an organization. It's a little different than maybe what we're used to, but Lord, you know all things, and you've got all things worked out according to your will. We thank you for being our God. We thank you for being our creator and the sustainer of all living things. You even hold the very breath of our life in your hand. And Father, we owe everything to you. And we just thank you for the opportunity to be stewards of your land and stewards of your cattle, and just pray that you'd help us to be good stewards. And Father, as members of this organization, I pray that you'd help us to be good stewards of what you've given us here in this wonderful organization of cattlemen and cattlewomen that have come together. And I just pray that you would guide and lead and direct in each and everything that is said and done here today. And may everything be to your honor and glory. And Father, we just thank you for your love and your mercy and your grace towards us, and just ask that your watch care and protection would be over us, and that you would keep our families healthy and safe and strong, and that we might be able to better serve you. Father, forgive us and help us, we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. It has been an honor to be the president of the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association during this challenging year. The beef industry in Kentucky touches so many family farms and family businesses. Yesterday, I conducted my final KCA Executive Committee meeting as president. The 13-member executive committee facilitates The business of your organization and the 94-member board set the priorities through the committee process, marketing plans, and budgets. You will have the opportunity today to hear reports from Ken Adams, KCA Treasurer, Nathan Lawson, KBC Director, and Dave Maples, KCA Executive Vice President. On some of the key projects that are being worked on, the KCA staff will be sharing other program reports in the upcoming weeks. Please watch for those soon. Later in the afternoon, we will recognize some industry leaders. Our great 2021 Hall of Fame class, along with electing our incoming slate of officers. Also, we are very thankful for the funds generated by the Gordon and Susan Jones Lectureship Fund for the educational sessions earlier in the week. On Tuesday and Wednesday evenings, we hosted the virtual Beef Efficiency and Forages conferences.
Good afternoon, folks, and thank you, Steve. My name's Dave Maples, and as he said, we'll go through and have several reports today, and we're looking forward to doing that. But before we get to giving the reports of the association, we've got two reports. We will hear from Colin Woodall, CEO of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, and Kentucky's Commissioner of Agriculture, Mr. Ryan Quarles.
Howdy, I'm Colin Woodall. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you here today, even though it's virtual. I remember just a year ago we were together in Owensboro, and I look forward to the next time that we can be together again, because it's that in-person contact that I value. It's important for me to know what's going on in the countryside. It's important for me to know what's on your mind, so that way I can do my job better and to make sure that NCBA is doing its job better. It's also important to really illustrate the partnership between NCBA and the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association. It's a partnership that I value because NCBA is better because of your engagement. And I think a great example of that was really driven home this summer when KCA led a coalition of NCBA partners to bring a resolution to our summer business meeting that was focused on establishing policy that would allow us to work on better risk management tools for all of you. Now, as we have seen throughout 2020 and the coronavirus pandemic, we need better risk management. When we saw the market fall out back in March, we had to go to Congress and work with Congress to try to find some disaster assistance to help all of you out. And that's what we did. NCBA was the only national trade association that did not close our shop in Washington. Our team was there every day working with Congress to ensure that we got funding in the CARES Act that ultimately funded what became the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, or CFAP. Now, CFAP has been very successful in putting a lot of dollars back into the pockets of producers. Now, we know it hasn't been perfect. No government program is, but it has been very successful. And that only happened because of the work that NCBA did in Washington. And that's just not us bragging about it. In fact, the Secretary of Agriculture himself, Sonny Perdue, got on a phone call with our leadership and told them that had it not been for the efforts of NCBA, that money would have never been included in the bill, and CFAP would never have moved forward, not only for cattle producers, but for all agricultural producers. We're very proud of that. But the only reason we were able to do that is with the support of the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association. We were also able to open up the Small Business Administration programs for cattle producers as well. That includes the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, and others. If for some chance you missed the opportunity to be a part of PPP or even the CFAP program, there's going to be some additional opportunities coming here thanks to the year-end package that was passed by Congress. But we have to keep in mind that once those particular programs are over, they're over. And that doesn't help us moving forward, because we know that there will be additional concerns, additional market disrupting issues that will come in the future, whether that is a packing plant going down or a natural disaster. We need to make sure that we have something that is permanent. And your policy that you brought forward, that NCBA now has on the books, gives us that opportunity. We are already working with the new leadership of the House and Senate Ag Committee to talk through options that we might have to include these programs in the next Farm Bill. And believe it or not, discussion and debate on the next Farm Bill is going to start this year. So the timing was absolutely perfect. We were looking at some of the existing programs that are out there and programs that other commodities have to ensure that we can design something that's going to work for you. We're going to be coming and working more with you and our other state partners to try out some different ideas and thoughts before anything is finalized, but we're excited about this option. And the only reason we're going to be able to do this and make it our top priority in the next Farm Bill is because of your engagement. So that's why I say NCBA is better, because of what you have done. It has been a wild year, and we've had the opportunity to work on a lot of issues. When you go back and you look at our ability to not only work on things such as CFAP, but to finally completely repeal and replace Waters of the United States was a big win. Our big win on dietary guidelines, ensuring that beef was still in the center of the plate, was also a tremendous win for us. But we have a new administration, a new Congress, and new challenges and new opportunities. We're already working with the Biden transition team to make sure that they understand our issues. If you haven't heard, climate change is going to be a big priority for President Biden and his administration. Now, a lot of people think that that could be a detriment to us or a challenge for us, but I'm seeing it as an opportunity, because what we're going to be able to do and what we have already done is talk to the Biden administration about how we are part of the solution, not part of the problem. And we have had a lot of good feedback. So you're going to see NCBA talking a lot about sustainability here over the next couple of years in order to make sure that we are ahead of the game with this administration. And of course, outside the policy work that we do a lot of work as a contractor to the Checkoff and the home of the Federation of State Beef Councils. And one event that we're really excited about that's going to come up here the next couple of weeks is the Beef It's What's for Dinner 300. This is a NASCAR race. It's going to be on Saturday, February the 13th, as part of Race Week down in Daytona. So the Beef It's What's for Dinner 300 is coming up, and make sure you take a look at it, because it's nice to be back on broadcast TV, much like we were during the Christmas season on the Hallmark Channel. Again, our partnership is extremely important to me, and I want to make sure that you understand that we have a very clear line of communication between me and Dave and Nikki and Nathan, the whole team at KCA. We value your input. We want your input, so that way together, both NCBA and the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association can be successful. Again, thanks for your partnership, and we look for the next time we can all be together again.
What a year 2020 was. It was a trying year on all of us. The coronavirus pandemic has tested the fabric of our society, including our food and agriculture industry. Even though last year presented unprecedented challenges, I am proud of the progress the Kentucky agriculture community made last year, because we're not just essential, we are necessary. In particular, our cattlemen and women stepped up to produce food to feed our nation. You even donated Kentucky Proud ground beef to our food banks, when more Kentuckians than ever are relying upon the generosity of Kentucky farmers to simply put food on their tables. Thank you very much. Processing also slowed down across our state, creating negative impacts on price. I know that the backlog of meat processing still affects you and our farm families. But what a great testament to our farm community that even despite these challenges, we came together to feed our neighbors. I know we continue to struggle with the backlogs at our meat processing plants. It's a serious problem, and one we continue to work on. In 2020, my team and I supported and expanded Kentucky's meat processors with a meat processing incentive program with the Kentucky Agricultural Development Fund. We quickly invested $1.5 million in Kentucky's small meat processors, and I was able to secure an additional $2 million of CARES Act funding from the governor to expand it even more. I know there is more work to be done, but these critical investments will help expand the processing capacity of the largest beef cattle state east of the Mississippi River. As you know, the legislature is now in session. Last year, the General Assembly was supposed to pass a two-year budget like normal, but the session was unfortunately cut short. So one of the first things they have to do this year is to allocate funding for the next fiscal year. Once the budget is opened, I always advocate for two main things. First, to fully fund the critical missions of the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. And secondly, no new taxes on our farm families. With a conservative majority in Frankfort, I believe we will get both of these things accomplished. There is another big conversation in Frankfort about executive power. Throughout the pandemic, many Kentuckians and members of state government have been concerned about the way the governor has developed rules and regulations to combat the spread of the coronavirus. I fully expect and encourage the General Assembly to reform emergency powers to ensure the voice of the people is heard, even in a state of emergency. Lastly, I want to let you know of another bill that was recently filed by Senate Agriculture Committee Chairman Paul Hornback. Senate Bill 3 would move management of the Agricultural Development Fund from the governor's office to the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. This idea has been around for several years, both with Democratic and Republican governors, and it's an idea whose time has come. In recent weeks, the governor attempted to pressure the Kentucky Agricultural Development Board to adopt a proposal whipped up in his office by staff instead of a proposal that originates from the Ag Development Board members themselves. This is something I have never seen before as my time as commissioner. Thankfully, the board pushed back and routed the project to a working group to further study it and vet the proposal. With new appointments, the governor will soon have a rubber stamp for spending tobacco settlement dollars without proper vetting, something that we must address now. This is so important. The money is the agriculture community's money, and it must be protected. Even with moving the bill over to the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, Senator Hornback and I included additional safeguards, like eliminating the ability to reorganize the board that will help protect against political influence, even from the Commissioner of Agriculture. I look forward to making sure these dollars are protected forever. To conclude, I know this has been a rough year, and the start of 2021 has been a little shaky as well. I ask you to please join me in saying a prayer for our farmers and for our nation. With His grace, I know that we will be able to unite and advocate for our farm families 365 days a year. Thank you, and may God bless the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
H&R AgriPower, Kentucky's premier Case IH dealer, has the power to get you more. More productivity with new and used equipment from Case IH and other manufacturers. More precision farming solutions to help you maximize your yield. More parts with the area's largest inventory so you get the parts you need fast. More service, whether on the farm or in our shop. H&R Superior Service keeps your equipment running strong. Supporting farmers in Kentucky agriculture with the power to get you more. H&R AgriPower.
Okay, at this time, I will call the 48th Kentucky Cattlemen's Association House of Delegates business meeting to order. I would like to call on KCA Treasurer Ken Adams to present our Treasurer's report. And following Ken, we will see a presentation in recognition of Beef Council partners from our Kentucky Beef Council Director, Nathan Lawson. These presentations were recorded prior to today's meeting, but both Nathan and Ken are with us today and will be available for questions at the conclusion of these videos.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ken Adams. I'm your state secretary treasurer, and it is my pleasure to be with you today. I did not get to attend convention last year because of some family issues, but was looking forward to having a true get together and getting to see and visit with everyone this year. but we're not going to get to do that because of COVID, but we'll make it that much more meaningful hopefully next year or when we can get together in between. But I'm here today to do your treasurer's report, and we'll move on into that. For anyone that is new and has not heard me speak about this before, the association is divided into 5 different categories. The association itself, the Beef Council, which operates the federal and the state checkoff, the Kentucky Beef Network, which handles the grants that we get through Kentucky's share of the tobacco money, and also manages and oversees Eden Shell Farm. Then we have our new venture of Beef Solutions, that is its own separate LLC. And then there's the foundation that owns the real estate and is set up to where charitable contributions can be made to it and those type of things. There is internal controls put in place for to make sure that your money is handled properly. Checks require 2 signatures. I've reviewed check registers and spot check documentation to it on a regular basis. The bank deposits are kept within FDIC limits. I review monthly statements for credit card statements to make sure that they're being used properly. Then we have monthly reports that are prepared by our CPA. Those monthly reports are reviewed. Me and staff review them on a monthly basis, as well as they're shared with the executive committee. The board of directors gets to see those on a quarterly basis as we meet. And then we have, at the end, as a safe point, we hire Dean Dorton, Allen, and Ford to do an independent audit every year and make sure that nobody's missed anything. On the checkoff side, in the lower right hand of the corner, we are audited by Checkoff out of Denver and the Cattlemen's Beef Board. And the last time they come every approximately 3 years, and they were here in December of 19, and there was no significant findings out of that. When you look at the balance sheet for the association, you can see how it is broken down into the different categories as we talked about a second ago. You have the association itself with almost $1.1 million of net assets. Beef Solutions at $371 that it has accumulated in its brief time of operation. The Beef Network has net assets of $367. State checkoff almost $1.4 million, and the federal checkoff program of almost $600,000. When we look at that as a total, at the end of this is numbers at the end of our fiscal year 2020. At the end of 19, we were at $3,510,999, which shows a net increase in net assets of $320,669 or 9%. One thing that has to be, well, 2 things that need to be taken into consideration. Number one, it has been a very challenging year for the staff to get out and do the normal programs that they do. When you can't travel, you can't have large meetings. That really handcuffed the staff and what they could do compared to what we have normally done. They looked for alternative ways of doing things everywhere they had a chance, and were very effective, and I think under the circumstances. So that did affect the way money was spent. And the other thing, the federal government came up through the CARES Act with the Paycheck Protection Program. We discussed it early on, and the association did apply and receive a paycheck protection loan in the amount of $197,365, which was used to pay payroll during that period that it was designated for. We have worked with the Treasury and SBA, and that loan has been forgiven. It was used the way that it should have been. So really and truly, of that $320,000 net asset increase we had, 197 of it was through the PPP program. So without it, we would have still increased 123,000. So, you know, you never know in a situation, a pandemic like this, excuse me, how it will end up affecting the net bottom line. But we did have a positive year, even taking everything like PPP and the way the money was spent out. Revenues. When we look at gross revenues, those of you that have heard me speak in previous conventions, and this pie chart shows that extensively as usual. When you look at the red and green sections, make up almost 50% of the chart, which is Cow Country News at 376 and Land at 203 when you round it off. The other sources of income are on here, which include membership, the PPP loan that we discussed a second ago, the fax tour, convention, and then beef promotion. Moving on to the next slide, which that was gross revenue. Of course, we need to look at net and see where we really end up. If it doesn't matter if we make money if we don't get to keep some of it. And again, you see the biggest bar that we have is Cow Country News with 140,000, with Land being very closely tied into it. And for those that don't know, Land is made up of where we do outside KCA work for other states and preparing their publications and doing media work for them. But we made $19,000 doing that. If it wasn't for those two, we would not have any other alternative really. When you go across through there, the other things are all programs that we do on your behalf, but they all are. The insurance enterprise can be a small profit center, but really we've got that on the association side. We have the media group and membership are our net income to operate the association with. So if the media group did go away, we would have to replace that with dues or cut back what the association does, and I don't think anyone wants to do that. But I think this slide really points out, as it usually does on an annual basis, the importance not only is Cow Country News of very educational and good publication, but the importance to the association financially. Moving on to the checkoff programs, we have the state and the federal checkoff. The first pie chart that you see on this slide is where that money went. Total receipts of $1,455,553. $645,617 gets passed on to the national program. We keep $658,117 to spend on our programs. And then we had $152,000 that was cattle that were sold from other states. And we send that money to the appropriate state. And then on the flip side, we would receive reciprocal money from them if Kentucky cattle are sold across the border. The expenses on the federal checkoff program, as it is set up, it's a promotional program, and you see where $446,000 was spent on promotions. Of course, you always have some administrative costs, and the balance of those are consumer, producer, and industry educational programs. Moving on to the state checkoff program, we received a total of $1,175,000. This is, if you remember when it was put in place, this is an optional program, and producers can request a refund if they so wish. And of that, we had $97,243 that was refunded back to the producer upon their request. Expenses on the state checkoff program, again, it is a promotional program. $527,000 was spent promotion. Again, we do have some administrative costs, and $201 on education, $50,000 for global marketing, and then you see the market development and a small amount on research. Going to the KBN, or the Kentucky Beef Network, as we discussed early in this presentation, the biggest function of KBN is to administer that grant that comes from Frankfurt through the tobacco settlement money. And you can see that during the year we had $733,850 come in from there. Eden Shell generated $119,230, and then some small miscellaneous issues or income items were about $29,000. The expenses through KBN, that grant is very specific when we apply for it on how the money has to be spent. And if we do have money left over, it gets returned back into that pool with the state. So those numbers should always match on the income and expense side, and they do this year at $733,850 that was spent on those items. Eden Shell had $110,233 of expenses, and then we had other expenses of slightly over $39,000. We talked briefly about Beef Solutions a second ago when we were talking about the structure of the organization. Here is the 3-year history on Beef Solutions, and you see how the volume has continued to increase, and income has came up. Then the second set of bars are our cost of goods, which is the 90%. Well, between purchasing the cattle and the processing is 99% of our cost. And you see where those numbers have increased as the volume has increased also on a dollar standpoint. And then you see the net income for the last 3 years. Volume has went up considerably. We continue to look at ways to keep Beef Solutions profitable and keep it growing and make it as efficient and return as much money as we can to our Kentucky farmers, which is the ultimate goal. And some pricing structures had to be moved around a little bit and re-engineered as we continue to learn this process. And that did result in, during the year, when you look at it, we did not make as big a percentage of gross as had in some other years. But that is acceptable and is being continually monitored and looked at. So that would conclude my report. And as always, every year, I want to thank you for allowing me to serve you for another year and share with you just the few little things that have went on at Adams Farms in the last year. You can see her help here. We do have the next generation coming on, and she's definitely going to be a farm girl, as is my daughter-in-law. And I appreciate everyone that, including my employer and my family, that allows me the time and the resources to be able to do this and serve you. So with that being said, I hope everyone stays safe and healthy, and look forward to seeing you in 2022. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year, everyone. My name is Andy Bishop. I'm your Beef Council Chair. This will be my last year as Chairman of the Beef Council, and I just wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to serve you guys for the last 3 years on the Beef Council as the Chair. It's been an eye-opening experience for me, and I've certainly enjoyed every moment of it in promoting beef. And I just look forward to seeing what the next Beef Council Chair will bring forth. And with 2020 being a challenge, I want to reach out first and foremost and thank all the Beef Council members for stepping up and being flexible. As we had challenges meeting in person like we normally do, we had 2 Zoom meetings this time. One where we were kind of brought up to speed on what the Beef Council does and what our roles as Beef Council members are, and kind of an introduction. And then in between that, we had some assignments that we were to work on for critical threats for the opportunity, or critical threats and opportunities for the beef industry moving forward in 2021 and beyond. And so with that in mind, we had our last Zoom call, which was to approve the marketing put forth by the Beef Council staff. And with mentioning the Beef Council staff, I just want to acknowledge the amount of work that those folks went to this year to be adaptive to the environment that we were in. And so what that means is just adapting to circumstances around us, obviously with COVID and the challenges that brought, but also how to spend those marketing dollars wisely in a changing environment. And so many of you probably didn't see the shift in marketing because it wasn't geared towards you, the producer. It was geared towards consumers and how they were viewing beef at home. And so I really think our staff did a great job of changing the direction of marketing for 2020 and even part of 2021 to utilize those dollars wisely so that they could be best spent to encourage beef consumers while at home to cook beef, eat beef, and be connoisseurs of beef at home. And I think they've done a great job in doing that. And I just want to commend those folks for the hard work they put forth this year. I know it's been challenging. So with that, moving into 2021, we will be implementing the 2020 plan, the marketing plan, and I think you'll see a lot of changes moving forward. Nathan will give you an update on that here in a few moments. And I just wanted to once again thank everyone for the opportunity to serve you guys. I've had an opportunity to serve at the side and see what these plans hold at the national level and how those dollars are spent. And I'd encourage each one of you to do some digging. Go to the Beef Board website and look at how those dollars are spent, how they're allocated, and what those checkoff dollars actually do each and every day. And then it's very important, guys, that you continue to be advocates on the checkoff and how it works for you, because those dollars are very valuable, and I know Nathan will speak to that. Those dollars are valuable, but it's very valuable that you share that story as well on how the checkoff impacts you. And I just encourage you to go do some research. Go to cbb.com and check out the Beef Board. All of those contractors will be listed on there. And you can see the work that they're doing each and every day. And it's work, guys, that you don't see most oftentimes. And I just encourage you to look that up and get involved in any way that you can. Once again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve you for the last 3 years as Beef Council Chair. I'll be moving on to different things. And I just encourage the new Beef Council Chair to continue promoting beef and being an advocate for beef. And I wish you a very prosperous 2021, and hopefully we'll work through this pandemic and things will get back to a little bit of normalcy moving forward. Thank you, guys, and have a wonderful 2021.
Your team and President Steve Dunning, and thank you for taking the time to be here today. Over the course of the next few minutes, I'd like to share with you some of the highlights of this past year's efforts by your Kentucky Beef Council with regard to checkoff investments. We have an excellent team that works hard daily for you as Kentucky cattlemen and women and beef producers. Within our areas of focus, we make a great team and have the opportunity to help move the needle on beef demand and consumption. When we think about checkoff investments, the state and federal checkoff laws allow us to invest funds in 5 key areas: promotion, education, research, market development, and global marketing. Throughout the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you the highlights of our work in the last year. However, I'd like to encourage you to visit kybeef.com/Cattlemen's Corner /Beef Checkoff program to get the most comprehensive and up-to-date information on our work as a beef council. Here you will find not only our annual reports for the state and federal checkoff, but also quarterly updates that capture the programming we're involved in each quarter of the fiscal year. When we think about checkoff programming, promotion and advertising capture the majority of our efforts, both in time and financially. Roughly 55 to 60% of the state and federal checkoff investments are in promotion and advertising. We invest these dollars in three main areas: targeting consumers, those in retail and food service, and also producers, the beef producers in the state that are stakeholders in the beef checkoff. Most of our efforts are targeted at millennial consumers who are grocery shopping on behalf of their family weekly. Our hope is that through our ads, they will be enticed to add the great taste of beef to their meal plans and ultimately into their shopping cart throughout the week. One of the things we're particularly proud of in our advertising efforts in the last year is the fact that we have made the decision to bring our social media advertising and graphics development in-house. We've learned well through our partnerships with social media advertising agencies over the years, and this change will ultimately save us roughly $20,000 in checkoff investments. What you see in front of you are a few examples of the ads we've created in-house, and we're pushing those ads out in a variety of pathways through social media, online advertising, and also television. One of the things you might have noticed recently in signage is the Beef Starts Here campaign. Producer signs are available to Kentucky cattlemen and women at no cost. These signs, along with a billboard campaign, seek to highlight the simple fact that in the bluegrass, beef starts here. And we're proud of the efforts of the folks that we work for day in and day out who are growing and being good stewards of their resources and the food that our friends and neighbors love to enjoy. One of the things we also focused on in the last year is leveraging television media. We have 3 partnerships currently, one with Wave 3 in the Louisville market, one with WKYT in Lexington, and one with LEX 18 in the Lexington market also. LEX 18 has been running Sunday night beef commercials for the last 2 years, including this season. And we're proud of the partnership that we have with them. I'd like to share with you an example of a recipe video that encourages viewers to follow through by visiting our website for more great tasting beef recipes. Danny Coy developed this advertisement here in the KCA office, and he's doing excellent work on a monthly basis to help update and create new content for us to push out on our television pathway. As you can see, one of our goals is to encourage folks to take the next step with our advertising. We not only want to encourage them to purchase beef, but we want to encourage them to find out how to prepare it. And in doing so, we believe that they'll continue to put it in their grocery carts week in and week out. As you are aware, 2020 was not the easiest year for in-person programming. However, 2020 did give us an excellent opportunity to express our gratitude to folks who are everyday heroes, working tirelessly for all of us so that we can enjoy the food that we need on a consistent basis. So we kind of consider 2020 to be the year of gratitude for our Beef Council. We engaged in 2 major efforts to try to show our gratitude to the folks that we appreciate, some of the folks that we appreciate very much as a Beef Council. One group is the Kentucky processors. There's a fairly large number of USDA certified processing facilities in the state of Kentucky, around 32, I believe. And these processors help Kentucky beef producers with direct marketing opportunities. They also provide valuable jobs in the retail industry. So we sent out care boxes to each of these processors, thanking them for their efforts on behalf of beef and Kentuckians everywhere. In addition, we expressed our gratitude to the auction barns in our state. The livestock markets are very important. They're not only important to us as cattlemen and women, but also to our checkoff. Those are collection points for our checkoff funding. And so we appreciate the fact that those sale barns remained open under difficult circumstances during the pandemic. What we'd like to share with you now is another example of a social media video that Danny Coy recorded of Allison Smith expressing our gratitude to the retail workers across the state of Kentucky.
The efforts on the part of everyone in the retail food community to keep the stores in stock, the associates safe, and the customers served are nothing short of heroic. In this time of uncertainty, we must continue to work together, and Kentucky's 38,000 beef farm families would like to thank you.
There's always something to be thankful for. And at the Beef Council, we're thankful for our partnership with Janine Faber Nutrition. You may or may not have heard of Janine's work as a nutritionist. However, she's been working with the Kentucky Beef Council for about 3 years. Janine Faber is a respected voice in the nutrition and dietetics world, and we're fortunate to have her as a contractor to the Kentucky Beef Checkoff. Through Janine's work, we've developed strong relationships with the Kentucky Academy of Family Physicians, the Kentucky Diabetes Network, and the Kentucky Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. In fact, one of our most successful in-person events of 2020 was the annual convention for the Kentucky Academy of Family Physicians, which was held in person this past summer in Louisville. Their attendees heard from Janine about a variety of positive beef nutrition topics, how to include lean beef into a healthy diet, and also had the opportunity to tour and ask questions of a local beef farm in Shelby County, Kentucky. Attendees had the opportunity to hear directly from a cattle vet in the Shelbyville area who answered questions about antibiotic use, hormones, and a variety of other topics related to food quality or beef quality from the veterinarian while on the farm tour. It was a great event, and we received great feedback from attendees. We look forward to continuing to work with the Kentucky Academy of Family Physicians and also greatly appreciate Janine's efforts as a contractor to the Beef Checkoff. In addition, education on the youth front is very important to us. We know that we're only as good as our next generation. And so Nikki Ellis adapted quickly and worked hard to help develop content that could be utilized in the virtual teaching pathways. Our teachers have worked diligently throughout the year to adjust and overcome the inability to interact with their students on a face-to-face level. Nikki's work helped create the Cash Cow program, which is a virtual learning experience for children grades 3 through 8. And this opportunity allows them to learn hands-on, sort of, what it's like to manage a cow herd in Kentucky. They learn about everything from the impact of weather to herd health and also calving to marketing cattle through this interactive learning experience. This has been made available to teachers throughout the Bluegrass and is gaining speed. It's a great opportunity for youth to learn about the cattle business in the state of Kentucky. With COVID, we had the opportunity to focus in on some things that we could work hard on while being, in a sense, more confined from the public that we like to serve. One of the things that we focused on in terms of market development was really capturing the value of the local food movement in the state of Kentucky. We have an excellent website at kybeef.com, but we didn't have a good way for Kentucky consumers to connect directly with Kentucky beef producers who are selling meat directly off the farm. And so we created the Kentucky Local Beef Directory. This gives Kentucky direct marketers who are selling beef from the farm the opportunity to list their farm on the site, which in turn allows consumers who are hungry for local beef to search and find a local farm that they can connect with in their community. As you'll see, there is a lot of dots in central Kentucky, right through the cattle vein of the state, we might say, and that number is growing. If you're a local beef marketer in your community and you'd like to have your farm highlighted as a part of the local beef directory at the kybeef.com website, reach out to us. We'd be glad to help you with that. When we think about the Kentucky local food movement, there's a couple of key things that are very important to us. One is our restaurant association. They work on behalf of all of Kentucky's restaurants and are a strong group that helps advocate for their members. The other one is the Retail and Grocers Association, or the Kentucky Grocers and Convenience Store Operators Association. Both them and the restaurants have a good organization that helps advocate on their behalf, much like KCA does for us as cattle producers. However, one of the things that we've noticed in Kentucky is that there's not a group that is as cohesive or functions quite as well for our local processors. As mentioned earlier, we have a great group of local processors, 32 USDA inspected facilities, and numerous others that don't fall under that distinction. However, the cohesive network that would be so beneficial for them has been somewhat lacking through the years. So it might be something to keep on your radar that the Beef Council might be engaged in over the course of the next year or two in trying to help create some synergy between the local processors in the state of Kentucky to help them firm up their association with one another and create a network for them to learn and grow. When we think about global marketing in large populations, one of the things that we recognize is that there is a huge opportunity for U.S. and Kentucky beef in the global market. U.S. beef exports for the year to date, January to October, while slightly down from 2019, have seen some significant wins. And one of the investments of your Kentucky State beef checkoff dollars is in the U.S. Meat Export Federation. John Bednarski serves as our representative to the USMEF for 2020 and 2021. And we like to think of the USMEF as our beef council to foreign nations. A few of the wins we're particularly proud of. We invest funds in the Japanese and Korean market. While Korea has not increased year over year like we would hope it would, Japan has seen a 3.5% increase in beef imports from the U.S. In addition, one of the other key wins that we see is the demand for U.S. beef in China, up nearly 200% over 2019. These are significant wins for U.S. beef exports, and we are thankful for the work of the USMEF, for John as our representative there, and also for the opportunity that we have to support their efforts in getting great tasting U.S. beef into markets that value it greatly. Another investment of state checkoff dollars in large populations is in the northeastern part of the United States. It's amazing to consider that in the Northeast, there are 7 states that have a significantly higher number of people than they do bovines. 72 million consumers reside in the northeastern states of Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont, and Virginia. Interestingly, This represents 22% of the U.S. population. That's a staggering number of consumers in that market. However, because of lower cow numbers, beef checkoff funds aren't readily available for those state beef councils to really work at programming efforts and promotion that educates consumers and also encourages them to go to the meat case for beef. So states like Kentucky invest a portion of our funds in that area to help support the efforts of that beef council. And so we're proud of those efforts, and we're proud of the working relationship that we have with the Northeast Beef Promotion Initiative. Those folks do a great job of helping educate consumers in an area of the country that has a lot of sway in our beef industry. Lastly, as we wrap up the KBC report for this year, I want to take the minute to highlight some really important entities and folks who have had a huge impact on our beef community in the past year. This year's 2020 Beef Backer Award goes to
Did we lose our connection, I guess?
Give me one moment. I apologize for the disruption.
Okay.
I apologize, everyone. Just give me 1 second. One more second. We'll be back together again.
With that, I guess you could, if you got questions for Ken or Nathan, you can be getting those in the, is it the chat box?
The Q&A box.
The Q&A box, and we can move forward when we get going again.
I'm getting it back pulled up. Here we go.
A lot of sway in our beef industry. Lastly, as we wrap up the KBC report for this year, I want to take the minute to highlight some really important entities and folks who have had a huge impact on our beef community in the past year. This year's 2020 Beef Backer Award goes to the Louisville and Lexington Burger Week. Louisville Burger Week is a partnership of the Kentucky Beef Council and Smiley Pete Publishing, along with roughly 41 restaurants that are involved in promoting the good old beef burger. And so during the Louisville Burger Week, in spite of COVID, roughly $270,000 worth of ground beef patties, burgers were sold in 41 restaurants. That's an average of about $6,600 per restaurant. That's real economic impact for the Louisville community, and particularly for those restaurants and those employees. When we think about the fact that that $6,600 per restaurant is just burger sales, it doesn't include drinks, anything additional that the customer might have ordered from that restaurant, or tips. That's a pretty significant splash, you might say, for those restaurants in that community. We're proud of those sales and that promotion event, and we appreciate our partnership with City Beat in Louisville and Smiley Pete in Lexington. Lexington Burger Week had much staggering numbers. It's sort of the veteran Burger Week, you might say. Louisville is in their 4th year of Burger Week promotion. Lexington has several more years under the belt than that. But in Lexington, over 100,000 burgers were sold during the week of September 21st through 27th. That's a huge number. And at a perfect time when people were ready to get out and do something different than the normal dining in that they've gotten so accustomed to in 2020. So for those reasons, we're recognizing the Louisville Burger Week and Lexington Burger Week for their efforts on behalf of Kentucky's beef industry in 2020. And when we think about service, it's hard for us not to consider our frontline folks in 2020. And there's so many to choose from to show our appreciation to. However, we feel like, given the circumstances, that some of the folks that have had to work the hardest this year are our teachers and educators. And so this year, we're recognizing the family and consumer science teachers of the state of Kentucky for their efforts in educating the next generation of beef consumers. These folks go above and beyond in equipping students with the skills that they need to properly prepare and present beef on the table. And we're thankful for the work that they do on behalf of our industry. So the 2020 Outstanding Service Award goes to the Family and Consumer Sciences teachers of the state of Kentucky. Lastly, our Advocate of the Year for 2020 is Joe Lowe from Smith's Grove. We hope that you had the opportunity to catch Joe's feature in USA Today in May of this past year. USA Today featured Joe as one of a handful of folks representing industries that were impacted greatly by the COVID pandemic. Joe was highlighted in the USA Today article and did an excellent job representing not only himself and his family's business, but also Kentucky's beef industry. Joe is an active advocate on social media through his Instagram page and Facebook, and we appreciate Joe's efforts as an advocate on behalf of Kentucky's beef industry. Lastly, thank you for the opportunity to visit with you today. And I want to encourage you again to go to KentuckyBeef.com, Cattlemen's Corner Beef Checkoff program to get the most current and comprehensive information about our checkoff programming efforts. We work for great folks, and we're proud of the work that we do, and we hope that you will be as well. Thank you again, and I wish you the best in 2021.
Thank you, Ken Adams, and thank you, Nathan, for a very comprehensive report. And thank you, Andy, and everyone that was involved in those videos. That was great. Now we'll hear from Dave Maples, Kentucky Cattlemen's Association Executive Vice President. Dave?
Thank you, Steve. So I'm live today here in the boardroom of the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association, and I'll be real honest with you, I'm about as nervous as I was when we were in person. I sure missed seeing and getting to talk with everybody. There's a lot of energy in this office around lunchtime, but today, all the staff is at their office doing their work. Folks, it takes a whole lot more preparation to do one of these meetings like we're doing, not just today, but all week, than I really realized. And I thank everybody so much for what's been going on behind the scenes. First thing, just like everybody else, I want to thank you, our cattle producers, so much for what you do. If we don't have you, we don't have an association. So I'll move through this pretty quick. You know, I've noticed over the years, and I've put these charts up at previous convention meetings, and I parallel your life and the prices of cattle that you've received kind of to my life as an exec at the Cattlemen's Association. You can look at the blue line to my left. That's prices for 500 to 600 pound calves in the Southern Plains, and you can see that blue line's pretty much below last year's prices throughout the year. It's a couple of weeks there that was above. There in March, when it peaked down really low, that's when our office really starts getting the phone calls, and we get to deal with a lot of calls. And then back in the fall, the same way. So you know, this graph shows us that we've had a pretty tough year. Sure, not like it was back there in 2014 and 2018. If you look to the graph to the right, you know, the number of cows that are out there, and you can see that that line's kind of beginning to tilt down. I hope we can keep you in business and keep all our cows out there and keep y'all doing what you love to do. What I want to do just a little bit, and just talk to you about the association. And one of the things that this association did, and we invested money in early 2019. And as I go back through and I look at the long range plan and the work that that group did, and we brought that plan to our board and they adopted it. It's so good that we have it. That's our pathway. That's our charge to what to do for the next 3 or 4 years. I want to take just a minute's time because I know some of y'all won't read it, but we live by this plan and we use it, and that's what we lead with. The group, when we started it, couldn't get off of value-added marketing or marketing in general. So the goal box to my left, cultivating value-added marketing opportunities. This strategy is focused on growing our beef solutions program through more disciplined market planning, a broader customer base, and expanded product portfolio. This strategy also includes several initiatives directed at improving the CPH program and developing programs to add more value to Kentucky cattle. Through special marketing alternatives or new business models, enabling the finishing of beef cattle. We spend a lot of time on this block, and hopefully we can make progress and check some boxes as we go through the next 3 or 4 years. The box there to the right of the top, strengthen research, demonstration, and outreach. This strategy includes initiatives focused on providing more education to KCA members and improving outreach to consumers and key influencers. You just heard Nathan talk about the beef checkoff program, and that's where a lot of the work is focused in this strategy. KCA will collaborate with universities to complete research projects and will explore the development of a regional beef center of excellence. I think you need to highlight that. We have it bolded here. We're spending time on that particular strategy. It's going to take us a long time, but believe you me, we're working on it. That will provide, this Beef Center of Excellence will provide leadership to the Southeastern United States in research and education efforts focused on beef cattle. It's pretty much, to me, a no-brainer. Where Kentucky is, where we're located, we have lots of talent. We've got lots of resources. We are a lot of beef producers, and we got some pretty nice farms, and our partnership with the university is very, very strong. The block to the bottom to my left, improve KCA engagement, collaboration, and advocacy. This one as a strategy involving to strengthen our county organizations. We talked a lot about our county cattlemen's associations, and we'll do it again. But we got to do a better job with our county organizations. And you know, this COVID thing is just really highlighting it a whole lot more. And how are we going to do it? We have to do it in a different way, but we still got to get out there and visit with you. Improve the overall value proposition of KCA and increase the level of engagement of KCA members on legislative and policy issues. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but through this pandemic, our relationship with our legislators and our policy people was very, very important. KCA will seek new ways to collaborate with universities, boards, and other agricultural organizations to complete an assessment of youth activities and events to improve their effectiveness. I think Nikki Ellis is doing a nice job there. She's got many ideas in her mind of what we can do with our junior cattleman program as well. So very important box right here dealing with our county organizations and our members. The last box is to develop and leverage organizational infrastructures and capabilities. This strategy is focusing on upgrading our internal systems and our infrastructure, ranging from the producer database to information technologies. You know, ag tech is a big word. We were talking about it before it got to be popular. And how do we get involved in it more? Included in this effort will be the completion of a comprehensive technology and facility plan to drive resource allocation over the next several years, and investment in employee development, training, and compensation program to ensure the retention of a high caliber motivated staff. Folks, you got a nice plan. I'm glad you did it. I'm glad you invested the money. And I'm also glad and proud of our staff that bring it out and use it and remind me quite often we lead with our long range plan. So that's where we're moving to. If I break it down to a simple slide, it breaks down into marketing, education, research, technology, and engagement. So that's where we're going to be going in the next couple of years. This slide is just a little bit about not only what I'm proud of, but what we're proud of that we have accomplished this year. This year is as everybody said, has been challenging. It's been different. And as we were talking about here in the office of making this list up, and it was pretty clear to us that the first one that came to the top of the page was engaged. We have stayed engaged, and like Colin Woodall said, like NCBA, they've stayed open. We have been open every single day, and we've had people here, and there were lots of times that I can tell you there was more stress and more work done back there during the height of the pandemic than probably we've done in some of the other years past. We've tried to do our best to talk to you, answer the calls. We hadn't been able to get out, but we have been engaged in the process. The CFAP process, we were there in the very beginning. You heard Colin Woodall in the start. You know, some of the early conversations were that the cattle industry wouldn't ask for any of those funds, and we were there. We spoke up for the cow-calf people. We may not have got as much money as we would have liked, but if we hadn't been there, you wouldn't have gotten any. The legislative interaction, I have to thank Nikki Whitaker. Her relationship with the staff in DC with our legislators is just the best. We've got a direct contact and line with all of those offices. And I think our relationship there and our interaction there has paid off. One of the things that I would like to say is our Beef Solutions team. There in the pandemic, you know, early on, we were processing 17 to 20 cows, and that thing jumped to 40 to 42 cows several weeks there in a row. And that was a whole lot more cows than we were used to. Dan Miller and Caitlin Hawkins and Becky and Kelly and the whole team and Allison, they've just done a wonderful job. And bless Caitlin's heart, I was up there with her every morning. And being in the food supply chain business it's a different game. We've learned a whole lot from it, but I think we're doing a nice job with it, and I want to thank all of those folks. Our fall roundup this year with our juniors, that program was planned to go, and we were going to be at Moorhead, and with the pandemic, 2 weeks before the show, they called and they canceled that program. Nikki said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we gathered around the table, and we made some phone calls. And so we had the classroom out at the Bluegrass Stockyards, and we called Jim and we asked him if we could put a tent up, and we have the show there. And as I drove up the interstate that day and see all of the trailers and the campers and the tents and the calves tied out in the pasture there, it just made chills go up and down my spine. And then I watched those kids ride those bicycles around and having so much fun. I think it might have been one of the better shows that I've seen in quite a long time. One of the things in our long-range plan that we talked about was risk management. Again, you heard Colin Woodall give kudos to the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association. We brought a resolution to NCBA with several of our other state partners. We got that in there now. And I'm so happy to hear Colin say that they were going to make that their lead priority, go work through the Farm Bill and get some management tools there that we've talked about for many, many years in place so that we can, protect you and maybe keep you in business. The other thing that I just can't say enough about is, and I appreciate so much, are our partnerships with the University of Kentucky, the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, our Extension Service, our agents. I know this morning, a lot of our meetings, our groups were in those extension offices, and we rely and respect those county agents and those folks that manage those offices so much. Another group, or another two groups, is the Governor's Office of Ag Policy. We've worked with that office for 20 plus years now. We've been on the receiving side of funds, and we've been on the side of helping other groups get funds from there. Many different folks that have led that office, and we always find a way to work with them. As maybe we transition it to the Department of Agriculture again, we will just have to figure out how it works. The other one is the Kentucky Farm Bureau. I can't say enough for them, Mark Haney and Eddie Melton, and his staff, and our relationship with Jeff Harper and his group there in Frankfurt that help us do a whole lot of stuff. We've got a nice relationship, and we work hand in hand. But the biggest group I would like to say is say thank you to our producer leadership, Steve Dunning and Tim White and Chris Cooper, and all of the folks that have been on our executive committee, our boards, and especially to our county groups, our county presidents, those treasurers and officers in these county associations. I can't say enough about. And our staff, again, I'll talk about them in just a minute, but again, thank you so much. Some of the challenges that we have, and I've got this picture of Danielle holding her head, and I feel like Danielle quite often. I just have to grab my head and how do I get through some of this stuff? And COVID-19 surely brought a lot of challenges to us, challenges of how we communicate with you, how we're going to communicate with you in the future. Education is a big challenge, and I'm talking about education all the way from preschool to elementary school, through high school, our college students, our producers. This thing with education, I don't know where it's going to go and how it's going to go, but I will be glad when it gets back to some normalcy so we can get through and go to it. But we're staying on top of that. Nathan talked about what's happened in retail and food service. When you saw all of this stoppage in the food service side and moving it to retail, that was a huge challenge. But you know, guys, one of the biggest things that our challenge is keeping you in business. I know that there's probably going to be fewer cows, probably fewer of us in the cattle business. As feed prices go up this year, it's going to be another challenge. So one of the things that we do, and everything we really do, is built around how do we keep you in business. With that too, as the exec at the Cattlemen's Association, I hope you will take time and look forward to the future of our association. We're going to have challenges. We've done well this year. You saw Ken's treasurer's report, but things could probably be a lot tougher. We may have to have an association that looks a little different. I look across the landscape and a lot of them are not making it. I don't want to be one of those. So our association may look a little bit different going forward. And speaking of that, here you have a different association. You don't have the typical Cattlemen's Association. When I came to work for you some 22 years ago, I came to a place that had a strong foundation. You had a lot of stuff in place that was done right and correct. I can't say enough for the leadership that got all of that done. You had a strong Cattlemen's Association. You had a strong set of bylaws. It all worked. You had a state checkoff program, national checkoff. You moved to it. You had your foundation in place. You had the magazine there. And I know a lot of the people that were there and did that. It was good. What we've done in the last 20 years and our staff here, we just basically take them to a higher level. We've also added several other entities with the ag development money, the tobacco money. Early on, we formed the Kentucky Beef Network. That was one of the first LLCs that I was ever involved in. Dr. David Williams was the treasurer at that time. He wanted that money separated from checkoff money or the association money. He wanted a clear balance sheet, a clear way to explain how the money was being used. So that was the first LLC that we set up. Now we've got 4 or 5 of them. We've talked about the Beef Solutions project. We've done that as an LLC about 3 or 4 years ago. We managed the Eden Shell farm up in Owen County. That works well. Our cooking business over at the fairground. Ken mentioned the livestock advertising network. Carrie and her team sell national advertising for 17, 18 magazines. And we're even doing a whole magazine for a couple of different groups and State Cattlemen's Association. And then our yards classroom out at the fairground. I was talking about our staff, and we get a lot of compliments. We should. This is a nice group of people. I'm so proud of them. I love them to death. We all get along well. Moss doesn't grow under their feet, I can tell you that. They get at it and they go. I started with you in 1999, and Danny came along with us last year in 2019. When I copied and pasted the names of all of our staff over it, you can see there's a group there that's got a white dot and a group that's got a yellow dot. For you guys that have been around a while, Nikki came in and I said, Nick, I've made a mistake, and how do I get them all to be a yellow dot? And she said, oh, I thought that was Miss Marilyn Craig. If you were a white dot, you were pre-Marilyn, and a yellow dot, you were post-Marilyn. So all of us that have a white dot, we came to work under the guidance of Marilyn Craig, and we appreciate her so much for what all she's done. But I can't say again enough for all the people that have worked here. I want to thank you for my job, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to do what we've done. One of the things that I've been challenged or programmed to do is to do the awards. I'm going to move into them right quick for you. A couple of years back, we had a gentleman that gave us some money and wanted to do something different with that money. And his message to me was to get it to some kids to get in the cattle business. That was Mr. Jim Gage. He funded this program for several years, and then our good friends at Farm Credit took it over. So this year, Drew Diehouse in Rockcastle County received $2,000. He's in Division 1. Brianna Smith in Russell County, Division 2, and Kaylee Thompson in Russell County as well, Division 3. So we hope those young people get a nice effort, get started. I know 2 of the 3, and I know they will do that. Now, one of the other things and the big things that I miss, we always have our county presidents meet and have breakfast or dinner. This has gotten to be a big thing at our convention every year, and that's when we give our awards out. This year, Barron County receives the Big Bull Award. We got to give them compliments with 525 members. You can see our top 10 counties that they went over, and they get a cash prize for doing that. $1,000 there for Barron County. Not only do our top 10 counties, they are important to us, but all of our counties are important to us, all the way down to our smaller counties. So we have awards broken out by divisions. Division 1, you can see there where those counties will have increased in numerical membership. Christian, Grayson, and Barron. Division 2, Pulaski, Garrett, and Anderson. Division 3, Twin Lakes, Robertson, and the Mountain Cattlemen's Association. So you ended the year this year with 10,738 members. I congratulate you on that, and thank you to all the folks that got a red jacket. And I'm sure Nikki will be getting your money and your red jacket if she hadn't already done it. And I thank you for that. Now, one of the other things that we do pretty much every year, we give an outstanding service to the beef industry. This started back several years ago, and we had some people that we wanted to give a pair of boots to because they had really gotten out there and they'd run the roads and they'd been up to it. Probably need some knee-high boots, but we started that, and really and truly the staff picks this. This year I got 2, and I know both of these gentlemen. I know them well, and I have been right there with them. And they have been at ground zero, and they've been in the hot seat many, many times over not just their career of where they are now, but pretty much throughout their life. You know, Dr. Bob Stout is our state veterinarian, our retired state veterinarian. Dr. Stout retired at the first of the year. And I can't say enough for this gentleman. I got so much respect for him, the way he handled himself in that job, and the admiration I have for him. I met Dr. Stout really and truly back before the BSE case. I think that was 2003. That BSE case, the cow that stole Christmas, hit right there when Commissioner Billy Ray Smith was going out of office, and Commissioner Farmer was coming in. Dr. Notter was going out, and there was nobody there at the Department of Ag, really in the state vet's office. But Dr. Stout and Dr. Bob Hall were there, and that was my go-to people for information on the BSE case. I don't know if you guys realize it, but the state vet is probably one of the most important people that we have in the livestock industry in Kentucky. They got a lot more responsibility and authority than a lot of us realize. And that's the reason we need a good relationship, and we need a strong person in that job. You know, Dr. Stout and I know there's been times that he's probably gotten a little frustrated with me, and then there's times that I've probably challenged him. But, you know, it's been a relationship that's been wonderful, working through the PI, calves, the animal ID stuff, and then all of the other issues from the package and stockyards to everything that we've done. And the one last thing, and I've got a lot of respect for Dr. Stout and that he did, that he's going to have a long-lasting footprint on the office of state veterinarian. It's what he's done in getting our new state vet and the state vets there in the office. He didn't leave till he got that done. Dr. Katie Flynn started the first of the year. Dr. Alex Hagan and then Dr. Beth Johnson are there. And we've got a strong office of state veterinarian. So Dr. Stout, we'll be getting you a pair of boots, and thank you for your service to this industry, and thank you for being a friend and being a part of the Kentucky cattle industry. The next one is, and most all of y'all know, is Warren Beeler. And Warren Beeler he's personal with me. I'll just put it that way. I was trying to figure out how to do this today, and I've kind of got Beeler in a spot because y'all all know Beeler. I can talk about Beeler today, and the good thing about it, if he's listening, he can't say a word back to me. So I can kind of say what I want to say about him, but he's an important person to me. I was here in the office Sunday working on our scripts to do this program today. And as I was searching through my Word documents, and I wasn't really looking for anything about this, but it popped up, and I found a letter that I had written to Western Kentucky University, I think 5 years ago. So if you will allow me, I want to read what I wrote to the Western Kentucky University group in this letter. It was a windy Saturday morning, April 23rd, 1977, when the direction of my life changed its course. Myself, along with my mother and my dad, made the trip north from Alabama to Bowling Green, Kentucky, to visit a university we knew very little about, Western Kentucky University. The grad student assigned to meet my family that morning was Warren Beeler. His enthusiasm, smile, personality, and love of Western and what he was doing with his life were contagious. Warren gave us a tour of the campus, then introduced us to Dr. Gordon Jones. As we toured the university farm, I could see in my mom's eyes, as Warren talked, that she would leave me in Bowling Green, Kentucky that Saturday morning if she could. His enthusiasm didn't fade as Warren went on to recruit my brother, and later my nephew, to attend Western. In fact, since that day in '77, I've watched Warren interact with thousands of young people, and when it fits, he has encouraged them to attend WKU. My senior year, Warren became the director of the L.D. Brown Extension Center, where I worked. He taught a livestock marketing class on campus and proudly represented Western as he traveled all across the country judging youth livestock contests. Professionally, Warren is at the top of his career as the executive director of the Governor's Office of Ag Policy. Before taking his current role, he had a very successful career at the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. Warren has always had a love for young people, and especially young people that are involved with livestock. Just like that day 40 years ago, he still has that magnetism that youth that makes them want to talk to him. And no matter how busy he is, he makes time. And I think that's the thing that Warren Beeler has been the most influential about. He has made time. And guys, the footprint that he's left on not only Kentucky agriculture, but agriculture across by having taken time with people like me and other kids, and I've watched him, it made us all better. So Warren, man, I thank you, and I wished I could be there to hug you. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for you. So Warren, we'll get you either a pair of boots or a plaque. I don't know which one you want. I know you like those plaques, but we'll do that. So thank you so much. And thank you for allowing me to be your exec and working for the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association. Was that too long?
When you need a trusted livestock partner to ensure you are maximizing your profit and minimizing your risk, and you have the financing you need, United Producers is here. With a network of livestock marketing options throughout the Midwest, comprehensive risk management services, and competitive rates and flexible terms for financing, United Producers has the solutions you need. We are here to customize products and services to help your farm succeed. So call or click today to learn more about United Producers.
Give your cattle a healthy start and keep them healthy with Biomoss. Find out how Alltech can help you protect your cattle and their legacy. Find out more at biomoss.com.
Okay. For anyone who's interested, I'm on the second story here on the farm, looking out over the farm out my office window, and it's snowing like crazy in Christian County. Now we're going to come to the best part that I always love about convention. Each year we recognize a group of individuals that have dedicated their careers to agriculture through service, through their county association, communities, KCA, and the beef industry. KCA staff member Danny Coy gets a big thanks for the nice job of producing our videos for this year's presentations. At this time, I would like to call on Joe Goggin to help introduce, as usual, this year's recipients and their videos. Joe?
Thank you, Steve, and it is my honor once again to have the privilege of presenting the Hall of Fame awards. And even though we're not at a very nice banquet this year, that in no way takes away from the prestige of these awards, and certainly does not take away from the accomplishments these recipients have spent a lifetime achieving. So with that said, let's get right into it. Our Region 1 Hall of Fame inductee this year is Cheryl J Calhoun from Madisonville, Kentucky in Hopkins County. Mr. Calhoun owned and operated Calhoun Feed Service in Madisonville for 45 years. It's a business his family still operates today. The information I was given said Mr. Calhoun was a city kid who bought into a feed mill in his 20s and has spent the last 60 years raising hogs and cattle. They did have the foresight to early on to utilize large tracts of reclaimed strip mines to build hog facilities on so they would be isolated. And then he used the reclaimed pastures to graze cattle.
but one of his lasting influences in Hopkins County and the surrounding area has been his passion for encouraging and assisting young farmers as they start their careers. Perhaps it was the fact that he didn't enter agriculture until he was an adult that has driven this lifelong pursuit of helping young people get started in farming. Mr. Calhoun has been married to his wife Elizabeth for 60 years. They have 5 children. And at this time, if you would, let's watch one of those videos that Danny prepared on Mr. Calhoun.
I graduated from Brescia in 1960 in Owensboro, and I came to Madisonville as the manager of Cole's Office Equipment Company. And a guy here in town told me the Supreme franchise was coming open, and he wanted me to go in partners with him. I told him no, I did not know anything about the feed business.
He didn't actually grow up on a farm, but I think it was kind of in his blood anyway. He worked on people's farms. He was already into it.
At 26 years old, I didn't know anything about the feed business, or especially the cattle business. Had a hotline to St. Louis. People come in and he'd ask me questions about the cattle, and I'd say, just a minute, let me go back here and look it up. I go back there in the office, and I was the smartest guy on cattle. Well, all the farmers, they stood behind me. They helped out a whole lot.
People would come in just to sit down and talk to him. I mean, they may not even buy anything, but so, you know, not only was he a store owner, but he was a counselor.
He came to this county years ago, started this business, he and Jeannie, and they have built what you see here.
While we were going to college, he says, who do you go on a date with? So he took me. Well, it stuck.
Family's always been very important to him. He's a role model to our community.
Very willing to support it, helped with county fairs. Cheryl still comes weigh his livestock in for the shows.
They have big cooks here that everyone's invited. I mean, he'd have 20 or 30 steaks on there at a time.
Cheryl's always been one to step up, help, be a part of the solution. What he's done through the church and through his faith.
Everybody knows Dad and knows what he's done, and they think a lot of him.
I'd rather work with him on projects than anybody I've worked with. Good guy.
I've been around a lot of people in my life, but Cheryl Calhoun and his wife Jeannie are the best.
I couldn't have ever gotten anything any better.
During those hard times, I didn't know if I was going to be here next week or not, but to stay with it, you gotta persevere. I finally pulled it out.
Congratulations, Mr. Calhoun. And moving on into Region 2, the Region 2 recipient is someone I've known and had the pleasure of working with on several occasions. I've known him for many, many years. Hall of Fame recipient from Region 2 is Douglas W. Shepard from Hardin County. And while he's been the Hardin County Extension Agent for Agriculture for 30 years, his influence for the cattle industry reaches well beyond the borders of Kentucky. Beginning with the inception of the North American International Livestock Exposition in the early 1970s, Doug served as the beef show superintendent. This is a role he would fill every November for over 40 years. His leadership during this time helped the North American to grow into the largest purebred livestock show in the world. He also served as one of the founding members of the Kentucky Beef Integrated Resource Management Program, or IRM. Through this statewide initiative, many programs were developed that are mainstays to the Kentucky cattle industry today, such as Master Cattlemen and Master Grazer. His far-reaching influence has continued when he formed a retained ownership partnership with Iowa State University in 2005 to show area cattlemen firsthand the positive results of improved genetics when cattle are harvested. While Doug may have served Hardin County as an extension agent for the last 30 years, in reality, he has been an agent for all of Kentucky. Doug is married to his wife, Allison, for 30 years, and they have 4 children. Let's watch the video for Doug Shepard.
A Buckeye originally. Grandpa had a farm up north of Cincinnati. It was a pretty diverse operation, close to 1,000 acres altogether. And it's now covered up with condominiums.
Doug and I first became acquainted when we were in school at UK, his association with the North American International Livestock Expo, which we founded in 1974, and Doug was one of the first ones I called.
30 plus years being the beef superintendent.
That's a really important, stressful position. He'd always have a smile on his face, whether it was the first day of the show or the last.
You know, the North American is known throughout the United States, Canada, and everything. That puts Kentucky's name on the map.
And promoted a lot of goodwill and positions Kentucky's been a leader in the beef cattle industry.
He's an ambassador.
He was able to help grow the North American. He really did a great job, and I know that people still miss him today.
Back in 1990, I ended back up in Hardin County. Been here ever since as ag agent.
When we started up the beef IRM program, and Curtis Absher was the ag program leader at the time, and Curtis said, "You just got to have Doug Shepard on this team."
And they knew tobacco was going away from Kentucky. There was some way we had to transition these farmers. Dean very much felt that beef and forage was the answer to that. Seeing him as my extension agent there with all the specialists at the university, and I thought, wow, this guy's something else.
His success with developing leaders in Hardin County especially, and also in the state of Kentucky has been noteworthy.
He's been good about bringing in younger farmers and younger producers into leadership positions.
We're very blessed here. We've just got a large group of young farmers here in Hardin County that are top-notch. Pretty neat.
He pushes you and he tries to bring the best out in you.
His Iowa Pasture to Plate program that program is huge, and in fact, it has been approved for cost share with the Governor's Office of Ag Policy. But it's indicative of Doug's creativity in programming with the farmer in mind.
He absolutely is a leader in the Kentucky agriculture industry.
He understands what the producer is up against,
and done a lot of good for the Kentucky cattle producers and the Kentucky cattle industry.
There is no one that works harder for the cattle farmers of our region and the agriculture community in general. He is a farmer, a cattleman, and a steward of our land. Doug is a good Christian man who is a terrific father.
Allison and the whole family unit, it's all good. He's a great guy.
Doug Shepard, in Kentucky terms, he's a winner.
Congratulations, Doug, and well-deserved recipient to the Hall of Fame. Moving on to Region 3, our Hall of Fame inductee is Tim Dietrich from Anderson County. Tim's another recipient I've had the pleasure of calling friend for many years. In fact, since his arrival in Kentucky many years ago as a young man working as a field rep for the American Polled Hereford Association. Since that time, Tim has devoted his entire career to assisting Kentucky cattle producers in marketing their cattle for their maximum value. In 2000, Tim started his career with the Kentucky Department of Agriculture as the beef cattle marketing specialist. In this role, Tim worked tirelessly to promote the Kentucky cattle industry, not only in Kentucky, but nationally as well. A main emphasis of his work was to help improve the image of Kentucky cattle to potential buyers across the country. Tim is another recipient who has volunteered his time for many years in working the beef shows at both the Kentucky State Fair and the North American. His skills as a ringman at cattle sales are sought out by many purebred sales throughout the year. Tim recently retired from KDA and has one child. This time we'll have the video for Tim Dietrich.
We often refer to Warren Beeler as Mr. Kentucky Agriculture. I think a fitting term for Tim Dietrich would be Mr. Kentucky Beef.
You know, it just came to me, and as soon as I could be showing, it took my first heifer to the fair in 4-H in 1975.
It's a very, broad exposure across the industry. He started out, in the purebred as a field man, so he knows a lot of people in the West.
Spent a couple years, we were doing show cattle. Lone Star Hereford Ranch out in Texas, and that was quite the treat for this wet behind the ears, small town Ohio boy. So I got some good experience there. And
if you're around cattle very much, you chase the dream of seeing some good ones. So he chased that dream.
When I began with the IBBA, the man that hired me, Neil Orth, gave me tremendous guidance and direction, and he was a mentor bringing me along. And that's, of course, he'd done it for years and years, and he'd trained many through the years.
Tim was working with Brangus cattle and then a lot of work with Hereford cattle throughout the Southeast before coming to Kentucky. He took a job at the Department of Agriculture to become a marketing specialist for the beef cattle industry of Kentucky.
It wasn't until I came to Kentucky that I truly began evaluating just commercial cattle.
We all talk about the look in cattle.
He looks at cattle and he sees stuff I don't.
I never want to come across and make someone mad.
I had a cow I was real proud of, and I said, man, what do you think about this beauty? Isn't she pretty?
I mean, I'd rather never had to put anything in the small frame pen or the light muscle pen, but it is what it is.
Well, she's a little steep in the shoulder. And
the very first sale, he threw out 75% of my cattle. What I don't tell people, it was only 4 heads all I had in there because I was a very small producer.
Tim's years of experience, both on the purebred side and the commercial side, always kind of gave him a unique perspective.
He was absolutely at every producer field day that he could get to.
Very respected by the producers.
He's really good at teaching farmers the fundamentals of how to grade cattle, what the order buyer looks for.
Helping people understand how their feeder cattle are going to grade when they come to the market and how they're going to be accepted in the market.
He was always there for the producer.
And it's helped a lot of people improve their cattle over the years.
But I think Kentucky agriculture benefited quite a bit from what Tim Dietrich brought to the table.
Kentucky is unique in any place I've ever been. The countryside here, the forages, the forage base, that makes this excellent territory to run cattle. But you're still not going to do it if you don't love it. Maybe it's family tradition, no different than mine. I mean, to this day, my dad's 84 years old, and my dad and I are still partners on that home farm that he grew up on. We don't try to make money at it. You wouldn't be able to do it. And the main reason people do it is they love it.
Congratulations, Tim. Moving on to Region 4, our Region 4 Hall of Fame recipient is Dan Shear from Jessamine County. Dan is a lifelong cattleman in Jessamine County, actually having started in the dairy industry. Dan is another recipient whose influences reach far beyond his home county. For 30 years, he worked as a state market reporter, reporting the market in 5 different stockyards each week. In addition, he was also a feeder cattle grader for the Kentucky feeder calf sales. In fact, he graded the first feeder calves to sell in the feeder cattle tele-auctions held in the late 1970s and early 1980s. His work as a feeder cattle grader helped producers better understand what types of calves would work and what types wouldn't. I had the opportunity to live in Jessamine County, and part of the 1980s and 90s, and got to know Dan during that time. And trust me, if you live in Jessamine County and you're involved in the cattle industry, you're going to get to know Dan Shear. His leadership in Jessamine County has spanned numerous decades, and he's still just as active today as he has been. Dan has been married to his wife Shirley 30 years, and they have 3 children. This time, let's enjoy the video on Dan Shear.
I remember one time I had a group of yearling cattle. I really needed to know what they weighed. I didn't have any way to weigh them. And Dan had a knee replacement, and he was on crutches, and he came and tried to tell me what those cattle weighed. And that's Dan.
I grew up in the farming. My grandfather and my father.
He was a market reporter at the beginning of market reporting.
I had a government grader that I worked under, Mr. Tom Cox. He was strict as he could be. I got a lot of good training from him.
The market news reporters, we're all very dependent upon it. If I'm getting cattle ready to sell, I want to know what that market is doing.
Dan did the market report for 5 different auction markets around the state.
Sent a market news report to 37 different radio stations. I would do a live broadcast every noon.
Dan made it pretty clear what things were bringing. I thought he was one of the best market reporters I've ever had anything to do with.
You can take what he says to the bank.
And the fact is that market reporter, I mean, he's there on the yards watching cattle sell.
So every time I was ever in the stockyards, Dan would be there.
Amazing how quick somebody can get excited over one bid or over somebody bidding against them. I just sit back and watch what goes on, see, and a lot of stuff has gone on. So that's all I need to tell you.
That is a political answer there.
Well, he was a wonderful judge of cattle. He called it like he's seen it.
He might not tell you what you want to hear all the time, but he's going to tell you what's right. His contributions are wide-ranging. You know, he's been very active in his church locally.
He's been to my ag classroom to talk to my students.
I would take market reports there, and we would all go over them.
He loved going to the state fair with these Ayrshires. He always had a real good display.
Dan and all of his family exhibit and had tremendous success at the state fair.
You'll look up there in his stall, we'll have 5, 6, 7 little kids running around because he wants their family involved. He's a family man, and he and his wife Shirley.
His son Danny and his daughters Janet and Sharon were all 3 FFA members and just were outstanding people to work with.
Dan coached baseball.
Just love those kids, and I pass them now on the street and say, "Hi, Coach."
He's been a market reporter. He's been a grader. He has raised cattle all of his life, both dairy and beef cattle. He has fed cattle in feed yards. He's been a cow-calf guy. He is the total picture. You are going to pay me now when this is over.
Yeah.
Saying all these good things about
I'll have to.
Congratulations, Dan. Our 5th and final recipient representing Region 5 this year in the Hall of Fame inductees is Tommy Harold Mink from Rockcastle County. Mr. Mink is another recipient with a diverse background in the cattle industry that also includes both dairy and beef. He milked cattle at Eastern Kentucky University's campus while attending college and was employed by the University of Kentucky Dairy Herd Improvement Association early in his career. In 1980, Mr. Mink began farming full-time, which he continues to do today. Throughout his career, Tommy Harold Mink has worked extensively in the areas of soil and water conservation. He has been a member of the Rockcastle County Soil Conservation District for 38 years, serving as president for 20. In addition, he has served on Kentucky's NRCS board for 37 years. In addition to his farming operation, Mr. Mink was also part owner of the Madison and Garrett County stockyards for 10 years. Mr. Mink obviously has a servant heart, having served on numerous local, regional, and state boards over the years. Mr. Tommy Harold Mink has been married to his wife, Laura Lee Mink, for 60 years, and they have 3 children. This time, we'll have the video from Mr. Tommy Harold Mink, Region 5.
He'll be 85, and he still works every day out on the farm doing something. I tell people he still works me to death right now. He loves to work and be outside and accomplish something. But that's the way he's been, all of his life.
Well, I was born and raised on a 35-acre dairy farm.
He was raised poor, like most people were.
I said I was almost born in the Stone Age and lived through the Space Age.
The time doesn't slow him down. If you go to visit him, he's on the farm.
And I've always enjoyed the country life. It's a nice place to raise children.
I guess we met on a school bus. We met when we were both in high school. But we didn't start dating until we were in college. We've always lived in Rockcastle County, except when he was in service.
He was captain in the Army. He stayed in reserve for several years.
We've raised 3 good children. We've got 5 grandchildren. They're all good kids. So I'm thankful for that.
When I think about a cattleman, I think Tommy Harold Mink.
Tommy Harold Mink is known for helping young farmers get started.
A lot of people look to him for advice. Younger farmers tell me, well, we've talked to your dad. People in the church, I think, look to him for advice because they see the life that he's lived and know what kind of person he is.
Dedicated his life to agriculture and to his family and to the Lord. And
Tommy has been active in that church his whole life. He served in leadership roles in that church, and he's a big part of keeping a minister in that church.
He's a man to be hard to live up to.
Well, he is top notch. Most everybody loves him.
We were going to give a shot one time, and of course I was going to hold the calf, and he was going to give it the shot. Well, of course the mother didn't agree with that too much.
My dad's kind of a daredevil, and he likes motorcycles, 4-wheelers, things like that.
She came at us.
So there was this huge hill.
The needle went right there.
He's like, I think I can get up it.
I hit him right here.
And we're all like, no. And so he gets about half up, and that didn't happen. And they go tumbling down over an embankment.
He said the last thing he remembers seeing when he was falling backwards, seeing his cap spinning through the air.
The good Lord was watching over him and has continued to watch over him with all of his kind of daredevil stunts.
A farmer needs to be a jack of all trades to make it, as you know. But now, it used to be when a man got too dumb to do anything else, he could farm. But now I don't think that's true no more.
Hi, my name is Tyler Clark with My Team Cattle and Crop Insurance. While we can't yet meet in person, we're a proud sponsor of the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association. With offices in Lexington, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, we help livestock producers in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama with all of their agricultural insurance needs, including drought and rainfall insurance, animal mortality, general farm policies, and livestock price risk protection. Give us a call today. Happy New Year.
Here at Berkman Nutrition, we committed over 40 years ago to provide nutritional support, premium fees, and exceptional service to Kentucky farm families. Now more than ever, producers need assistance developing health protocols and nutrition programs to meet market demands. Our highly trained team is here to help you reach your operation goals. We are proud to be your complete resource in the beef business.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, weren't those some great videos? Is there a dry in the house? Want to thank Joe Goggin for emceeing and Danny Coy for a great job of producing. That was wonderful. Now we've got to get to a little business. I need to call on our 5 regional vice presidents to get ready to give us the reports from the regional meetings that were held virtually earlier today. First up will be Daniel Hayden from Region 1. Daniel?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd first off echo what you said. Those videos were amazing, and congratulations to all the Hall of Fame winners. I am Daniel Hayden, Region 1 Vice President, and in our region meeting this morning, one important role of business was to replace my position because I've luckily been able to serve and represent my region for the past 3 years, and my term is up. During our election, we newly elected Bobby Bell of Breckinridge County as Region 1 Vice President. Congratulations to him. Then we had 5 board seats that we had to elect as well. And I want to congratulate these winners of the election is Ashley Holloway from Logan County, Sarah Roberson from Breckinridge County, Don Pemberton, he got reelected for his 2nd term. We have Leland Steely of Webster County and Blake Manger of Callaway County. Congratulations to all of them for stepping up and getting elected to represent our region on the board of directors for Kentucky Cattlemen Association. But there was one, I will bring up one concern that someone brought up during our meeting is they would like to see in the future, if we happen to be able to meet in person again, to be able to have the option for a dual option of in-person and Zoom during some of these regional meetings and some of these other meetings like that, if we could. So that is my report for Region 1. It was a very good meeting, and thank you, Region 1, for letting me represent you, and I appreciate it. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Daniel. Joe Lowe, Region 2.
Yes, Mr. President, this is Joe Lowe, your Region 2 Vice President. Much like in Region 1, I had served my 3 years as Regional Vice President, and it was time to elect a new one. Region 2 decided on Adam Alden of Hart County. We also had the pleasure of electing 12 new directors. We decided upon Trent Jones of Barron County, Chuck Crutcher, Hardin County, Allison Nisley, Adair County, Steve Green, Hart County, Mike Bullock, Warren County, Kirk Cecil, Monroe County, Rayetta Boone, Grayson County, Phyllis Gentry, LaRue County, Chris Imbruglio, Grayson County, Dennis Smith, Barron County, Corbin Cowles, Warren County, and Brian Mannion, Grayson County. That concludes my report.
Thanks, Joe. Great job. Region 3, Danny Cooper.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay. This is Danny Cooper, Region 3 Vice President. Our election results as Vice President, we have a new Vice President. It's Alan Bryant from Henry County. Congratulations, Alan. I think you'll do a wonderful job. We have elected delegates, Philip Douglas, Kevin Perkins of Oldham County, Maynard Stetson, Larry Bryant of Henry County, and John Allison. And as the outgoing president of Region 3, I'd like to thank the KCA for the opportunity to serve. And the experience I've had is they have an outstanding staff that's always willing to help. And my advice to anyone in the cattle business, join your local organization and get involved. Have a happy 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Region 4, Randy Warner. Mr. Warner, you're up.
All righty. On Region 4, I was given the honor of being reelected for my second term, being Regional Vice President. And we had 4 seats with 3 running for reelection and 1 open seat. We had Lisa Basler of Fayette County being reelected, Donovan Pigg of Clark, Bruce Witt of Montgomery, and our new director from Estill County is Danny Callahan. And the only business that was brought up in our regional meeting, any other business, was that Region 4 wanted to commend all of the KCA staff for going above and beyond duty in 2020 with the challenges of COVID to bring KCA through and put on what's been a pretty remarkable convention. Thank you all.
Thank you, Randy. Region 5, Philip Reese. Philip, I see you're there in the home office.
Yeah, Mr. President, our internet in Casey County is not doing very well, so we had to make a little trip up north to get business taken care of. In Region 5, our vice president seat, I was reelected. It will be my 3rd and final year as Region 5 vice president. We had 7 seats. 3 of those were reelections. Our 7 seats was Herman Binge, Danny Ray Spalding, Tommy Spalding, Dean Kraft, Mike Spalding, Rick Brewer, Ryan Miller. So that was a pretty good meeting. There was a little bit of discussion about membership, just encouraging everyone in the state and counties at the local level just to get membership fired up, get folks involved. That is my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Philip. Very good job. I want to thank all the regional vice presidents for all the work that they did this year, and it's really been a pleasure serving with y'all on the board. Now at this time, I'd like to call Tim White. Tim is the immediate past president, and that makes him the nominating committee chairman for this year, and he's got to present his report. Tim, you there?
It's Tim on.
Should be. Tim, it sounds like you're having some audio difficulties there. We'll give it a minute and check here.
Let me get him on the phone.
Yep, that's Tim.
Tim, we might have to call you.
Call Tim White.
And we're going to mute your sound and let you talk over the phone if that's okay, if you can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Here we go.
We can hear you now.
Hold on, let me turn this down.
There we go.
It says I'm unmuted and everything, but it isn't working. Anyways, so I get the opportunity. I was a chairman of the nominating committee, and this year was a tough year. We had several candidates that applied for positions, and they were all extremely qualified. Just great gentlemen that were running for these different positions, and I've been on several of these nominating committees, and it's probably one of the toughest times we had trying to sort through and get this lineup put in place. But I would like to tell you who was on the committee with me. It was Chuck Crutcher, John Donarski, Jeremy Armstrong, Don Reynolds, Jason Crow, and Steve Downs, and Alan Bryant. So these guys went through this task, and Mr. President, would bring forth the nominating committee report. And this is the way that we would like to submit our nominations. President Chris Cooper, President-elect Kerry King, Secretary Treasurer Ken Adams, Association Chairman Jeff Pettit, and Beef Council Chairman Joe Lowe. And that is our report.
Thank you, Tim. Are there any objections to the report as recommended by the nominating committee? Seeing none, the slate of officers is elected by acclamation. Congratulations. At this time, I want to thank you for allowing me to serve as your president this past year. It has been a real honor to serve you, and I really thank you for allowing me to be your president. I would like now to introduce you to a good friend and your 2021 KCA president, Gentleman Chris Cooper from Madison County.
All right, Chris is getting the inaugural blazer put on.
His wife, Patty. Congratulations, Chris. Good deal.
Well, thank you, Steve. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
I'll come back down here. Thank you, Steve, for everything you've done. And I'm looking forward to an exciting year as your KCA president for 2021. I'm very humbled to be here today and accept this great honor of being the president for 2021. I'd like to thank you, Steve, for being our president of 2020. And I'd like to thank Madison County and Region 4 for your support over the last 18 years. And I'm looking forward to 2021 with optimism for our cattle producers. At this time, I'd like to thank Steve for his service as our 2020 president and really all the years that you've been involved in KCA. I know that's been several years because it takes many years to get to that point and everything. And you were faced with a very different kind of year, and you handled it very well, I believe. I know you were looking forward to going to the several different meetings, and I know one of your first orders of business was to cancel some of the meetings there. So, Steve, I really commend you for your leadership and your friendship and being a fellow cattleman. And as a token of our appreciation, you'll be presented this portrait of yourself there, and also a plaque with a gavel on it, which reads to Steve. Hang on just a second here. I want to read that. To Steve Downing, in appreciation and outstanding leadership and commitment as president of Kentucky Cattlemen's Association for 2020. And I just really appreciate and pray that God will bless you and Julie and your family there. And I look forward to working with you in 2021 as we continue with you there on the executive committee as our past president. I'm also anticipating many challenges in 2021. And as Dave mentioned in his report, and there'll be some tough decisions, I'm sure, that'll always be in our agenda. And I hope that as we see these different challenges for 2021, I also hope that we see the opportunities and that we capitalize on them. As been mentioned in many of the reports today, there's many things on the agenda and many things going on in KCA. And I just think one of the main things that we need to keep in mind and in focus is that we need to just trust in the Lord with all of our heart and lean not into our own understanding. In all of our ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct our paths. And I think if we keep that in focus, and I think that should be our prayer today and our prayer for every day. And so I just believe that is our guiding force here, and not only on our own lives, but in this organization. And I pray and ask for your prayers as I take this position for 2021. Now, with that said, I believe Becky has some more business to finish up, and then we'll wrap up our convention.
I really appreciate everyone sticking with us through this afternoon. We appreciate your patience with us through the technical difficulties that we experienced, but we got through it. So with that, I do want to say thank you again to our 2021 convention sponsors. We do really appreciate your support of the Cattlemen's Association this year and with supporting our convention, along with all of our award recipients. So with that, the winner of our $100 is Mr. Fred Thomas. We will be reaching out to you via email to get your contact information later on. Chris, I'll now turn it back over to you to close out our meeting.
Well, thank you, Becky, and thank you all the staff, Dave and Nikki and Carrie and everybody that took a part in this today, and all the staff. And I really appreciate all the presenters, and I thank all the sponsors and everyone that's had an opportunity here and in this convention. And I know it's been a very different one, but is there any further business that needs to be brought before this convention before we adjourn? With no further business on the agenda and no further business being brought up, I'd like to thank again each and every one for attending the first KCA virtual convention. And I pray that God will have mercy on our nation, and may God bless you and your families, and God be with you till we meet again. I declare this convention adjourned.